Well, hello again. Welcome again to another episode of Down to Earth but Heavenly Minded. I'm your host, Risch, and you're listening to the Internet Radio. And we're going through a series on the Holy Spirit. And I've got a short episode today, and I'm just going to talk about the Spirit's place in the church. And when you think about the baptism of the Holy Spirit, that every believer was baptized with the Holy Spirit, I'm just going to mention some verses that you should look up and read. Acts 2, Acts 10, write them down. Acts 2, Acts 10, 1 Corinthians 12 and 13, being filled with the Holy Spirit. Just read Ephesians 5:18. And the power or the fullness of the Holy Spirit. Now, Peter's filling, read Acts 2 and Acts 4, verse 8. And the assembly's filling, those that made up the church. Acts 4, verse 31. And then Stephen's full of faith in the Holy Spirit. You'll see that in Acts 6:5. And verse 8, full of faith and power, and did great wonders and miracles because of this. 120 gathered, Pentecost, witnessed by the Spirit, 1 through 8. The assembly at Jerusalem, we see that in Acts 2, 41 to 47, before meeting of the president of the Spirit. We have the Spirit within us, in one accord, in one place. The content of the assembly, verse 42. And I'm just going to go through these points and not make too many comments on it, but the worship of the church, led by the Spirit, the fear of the assembly, in verse 43, godly reverence, the fellowship of the assembly, verse 44, and in chapters 4, verse 31, we have prayer in the assembly, the filling, the Spirit of the assembly. First of all, supplication, prayer, intercessory, and giving of thanks be made for all men. The purity of prayer, in this order, life, liberty, victory, and fruit. The witnesses of the assembly spoke the words with boldness. The building was shaken. In all human history, there never has been anything like this. Now compare when the temple was filled with the glory of God. We have the same principle. Just look at 1 Kings 9:11. In Isaiah 6:4, the post of the door moved at the voice of him who cried. The shaking of the building of Pentecost, when the Spirit, the power of the Spirit came on it. The unity of the church, verse 32, and his power in the church. See chapter 2. One heart, one soul, all things in common. Purity in the church, chapter 5, verses 1 through 11. Lying into the Holy Spirit, power of the church, miracles, signs, wonders, wrath, made the apostles. Multitudes were added to the Lord. The courage, the fortitude of the church. 17 through 42. Dissension in the church, chapter chapter 6, verses 1 and 2. Qualifications for leaders in the church, verse 3. Verse 8, see also verse 10. See also chapter 7, verse 55. The conversion of Saul. There was another episode of the power of the Spirit. Stephen, Philip, just study some of these men. Now compared with the man of God, chosen to build the temple, just compare it with those that were in the early church. Exodus 31, verses 1 through 6. The result of the work being in the hands of qualified men. We need to realize this. And that's what I have to share in this short episode this today. So just think about these things. Bye for now.